Halfway mark of the Open Championship where Shane Lowry holds a two-shot lead, but he has company. Justin Rose, who many thought wouldn't be competing, is still there. And Scotty Scheffler, what about his odds? We are here on Golfbet to break down all the stats at the midway point. Who is looking the best in what categories and how you should be updating your bets. Hit that like button, the subscribe button there on YouTube. Chris Brees, Will Gray, and Benny Betts, who says, this is already over?
Oh, not quite, but almost. Look, Shane Lowry's on fire. Look, 7 under, and I think he's really playing well. His approach game's going great. He is putting out of his skin, but that approach game is what I like. And I think that we might be sleeping on the fact. We might be looking for the reasons to get rid of him. But the last 3 guys who led after 36 holes that went on to win were the last 2 in Cameron Smith and Brian Harman, and of course Shane Lowry. When he won the Open prior, he also led through 36 holes. Are we trying to find reasons to get rid of him instead of just saying, hey, he's on this week and here he goes?
Shane Lowry was 1 shot off the best round of the day Thursday. He was 1 shot off the best round of the day Friday. That is a good combination, and it's no surprise to see him at the top of the leaderboard and as your new odds favorite, supplanting Scotty Scheffler there. Listen, Ben, I was out there at Portrush 5 years ago. I saw Shane Lowry and what he did there. I know he has the ability to close, but we're going to get into it. There are some variables coming, both in terms of the weather tomorrow, how the course is going to set up. You got the chase pack, and as Chris is putting up here, there's still a little scar tissue. Remember, Shane Lowry lost that big lead at Oakmont back in 2016. He credited that at Portrush as one of the reasons why he won the Open, but I still think that there are way too many variables in play, a lot of unknowns over these next 36 holes for me to say, yeah, go book it at Shane Lowry at plus 200 or thereabouts, depending on where you're shopping.
I think, Ben, go ahead, Ben.
I won't say book it at 200. I won't say go bet now if you haven't bet on him already. Mm-hmm. You needed to be on him already, because there are the only things that can happen, like Will said, in terms of variables at the Open, are things to go wrong, especially when it comes to weather. I mean, we called it yesterday, Justin Thomas, shocker today. It's out there, right? There's bad scores that are out there. That can happen. At the same time, I remember a year ago when we sat here for 3 rounds telling everybody Brian Harman's just about to collapse. Brian Harman's going to collapse, and he did not collapse. He just kept going. And Shane Lowry, because of the fact that he's built this lead, and basically we're writing off Dan Brown here, but he could easily be Todd Hamilton, I suppose. But Dan Brown's been getting written off. I think that Lowry has the capacity to do this. The Opens can show us a guy that can actually go, not obviously he didn't lead after round 1, but near wire to wire. People can go all the way through. So I just worry that we're looking for reasons to get rid of the guy who's playing well instead of celebrating what he's done right so far.
I think a lot of guys are in this. I think maybe one X factor that Lowry has that we probably haven't been looking at, the guy's just a competitor, Will. I mean, how many times do we make fun of his putting? Can't make a 4-footer. He sprays shots all over the course. What's he doing? But when he gets in contention and he knows he's on top, he knows he's playing well, oh, I've got a lead, he just competes. He finds ways to make par and to make those random birdies. He doesn't care how it happens. He just competes. And I think that goes a very long way when you're halfway done and you have to win this thing mentally. And he knows he probably won't have the putting round he did on Thursday. He knows he's not going to have the approach game he had today. All he cares about doing is compete, and that's going to go a long way, I think.
Well, we talked about it on Roundtable early in the week, and we said you're going to need a mutter, right? You need someone that embraces the variability of links golf, of the Open Championship, of weather that turns on the dime. Shane Lowry is that guy, but there's also, it's easier said than done in terms of, you can go in with the right mindset, but then if you get punched in the face, especially by, some wind and rain that's coming tomorrow, that can change in a hurry. I think we saw, especially in the afternoon wave on Friday, as Rory McIlroy ballooned and a lot of other big names slammed their trunk. This course is brutally difficult, especially with the way that the wind is blowing. It's inverse of what they usually expected. And double bogey lurks around every corner. You don't have to hit a really bad shot to make a double at Royal Troon. And that means, as we saw with Shane Lowry on the 11th hole where he was in the gorse, one bad swing and all of a sudden a big number is in play. And I think it's much different, not only being 2 shots versus 3 for his lead, but being ahead of 2 guys as opposed to 1. I think if he was just isolated with Dan Brown, Da Vinci Code specialist, that's a little different.
Yeah.
Justin Rose, birdie on 18 there. I think
Mm-hmm.
we need to dive in on the Englishman and trying to get that second major, because all of a sudden Shane's looking over his shoulder and he sees a very accomplished major champion. That's a little bit different for how he's going to approach the third round than if it was just him and Brown and no one else at 2 under or better.
100% true there, Will. Rose has definitely sort of thrown up someone he can think about, someone he has to worry about. Dan Brown, we'll wait and see. Obviously, he can get it. If he can continue, well done to him, which, as I said, we've seen Todd Hamilton here do it. So there is stories that show that an absolute, quote-unquote, Neville can get it done and win a major. We'll see how he goes. I think part of this, what you're all getting to here, Chris, you said it also, Will, is for Lowry to not win, for someone else to win it, Lowry needs to help them, though, right? Like, that has to happen.
He shoots under
If he
par
doesn't-
tomorrow.
No, I don't know.
Everybody's
Yeah,
in trouble if he shoots under par tomorrow.
Yeah.
And maybe even
Well, yeah, but
Justin
if he shoots
Rose.
under par tomorrow, it's going to be one of the best rounds of the day, and then he'll have had one of the best rounds of the day
Correct.
for 3 straight days, and he deserves to be one round away
Yeah.
from being champion. The way I would look at it the other way, Ben, is he doesn't have to play poorly to let everyone else back in. The conditions are going to be the most difficult they've been all week.
Right.
I mean, he could go out and shoot a 73 and not necessarily play poorly, but still open the door for someone even back at even or 1 over if all of a sudden they're able to put together a 69 or a 68, and then it's a horse race on Sunday.
So let's do this. We've pulled up the top 7 in odds right now at the halfway point. These are PGA Tour players who we know what to expect from them. Dan Brown's not on this list for that reason. This is the top 7 players left. Off the tee, approach, and putting. This is per round. So this can kind of give us an idea, Ben, of what we maybe expect for the third round on Saturday. Because you look at Shane Lowry, is he really going to hit the ball that well as he has off the fairway? Is he really going to be, you think he is?
So yeah, I don't know if he'll keep that putting up. That's my only concern.
Okay. Who on this list?
He didn't need putting today, though. He had the putting on Thursday. He didn't need it on Friday.
Okay. What do you guys take of this list? Who on here do you think is primed to have a jump start and some of these stats that maybe they should be doing better at and have a good round 3, Will? You think so? Because, I mean, he's going to continue to drive it well.
I'm going to fire another bullet. Listen, I'm looking here, plus 3.2 off the tee and approach, and the putter is basically almost outside of Corey Connors, who's in a putting league of his own among these guys. I mean, Xander's putter has been cooler than everyone else on the board. So if you're talking to me, what do I expect more, for Xander to heat up with the putter or for his elite ball striking to regress? I expect the ball striking to be there, especially in difficult conditions, and maybe he makes another putter too, and that could be the difference. I really like Xander. After the opening round yesterday, I had regrets about not getting him at plus 1,400 on the outright, sitting here now at plus 1,000, 10-1, with only 6 players ahead of him after 36 holes.
And he was over par today.
He's in a great spot. I think he's in a great spot.
Yeah, he was, of all people, I guess, if you could say it, I thought he was the biggest letdown, quote-unquote, today, because I thought he was going to make the move. But yet, there he is. So Will's 100% right. If anyone's going to improve on their stats that you see there, it's Xander's putting. But my eyes just go straight to the approach, because we said in the lead-up, and I've been banging on this door from the start, this is an approach course. You have to be able to hit your irons. You have to hit it into these greens. So plus 3.5 Lowry, 2.5 Scotty Scheffler, 2.3 Cantlay, 2.2 Connors keeps them in it. Now, Connors can't find a putt, can't buy a putt, can't go down to the pub and ask for a putt. So, you know, as good as he is, I see him being exactly what I said at the start of the week, a great top 10 option, great potential top 5 option, can still get that done, but I don't see him winning. Cantlay is still the outlier for me, like minus off the tee, and he's kept it there.
Yeah.
So if he gets to the range, finds it, but how do you find it if the weather's bad tomorrow? Like, that's not when you want to find your off the tee game. You're going to end up in the gorse. You're going to have some trouble there. So I'm a little worried for him if he's squirrely off the tee in the bad weather. Xander, though, putter should come. Scheffler, as always, he's sitting right there. He's sitting right there without necessarily playing that great. Today we saw some issues with his caddy, Ted Scott, that I don't know if that affected him or not. I don't know exactly what was going on there, but he was lying down, looking like he was in big trouble. Will, I don't know if you have anything to shed light on there. But other than that, you know, I think, as I said, stick to that approach game, and the outlier is Schauffele. You still get value because his putter has not been there for him, and it should be.
And Ted Scott was certainly a curveball on site today at Royal Troon. He was doubled over. He was laying down at points along the coast there. It's tough to know exactly what's going on. Scheffler didn't shed a ton of light on it, but hopefully for his sake, it's not a factor tomorrow. But I will say, we were talking about it a minute ago. The factor that will be there is the weather. So this is hot off the press here, Chris and Ben. We have a new tournament official weather forecast for Saturday in the 12 to 6 o'clock range, which is when the leaders are going to go out. All these guys even and +1. Here is what they're expecting: overcast with outbreaks of rain arriving early or mid-afternoon. Rain probably turning heavier and more persistent from late afternoon. So I think everyone's under the assumption that Shane Lowry has caught a bit of a break with his wave of the tournament. He got relatively calm conditions Thursday afternoon. It wasn't blowing as much Friday morning. These leaders are going to go out tomorrow. It's going to be the worst weather we have all week. It's going to get better on Sunday. Tomorrow afternoon, third round, when the leaders are there, that is the crucible. That is as tough as it's going to play. The wind is still going to be expected to be from the south, which is against what they're used to. So those front 9 holes are going to play into the wind. The back 9 is going to play downwind. That's when we're going to know, right? If Shane Lowry goes out and puts out, as you said, another 69 or a 70, if he gets to 9 under going into Sunday, he could be a deserving champion. But I think there's a much, much better chance that, man, this thing is absolutely up for grabs for that 2 to 3 hour window tomorrow in the middle of the round.
Okay, you say up for grabs, right? So is under par the only chance to win this now?
No.
More because leader, you're talking about leaders teeing off in bad weather. Everybody under par is a leader. I mean, T11 is even par. That's almost a leader in terms of tee times.
There's some guys at +1 that if they can get a hot start and hold on as the weather gets bad, that they could do something.
Let me pull them up.
If they get a break.
Brooks Koepka, John Rahm. We haven't even talked about Jason Day, who's under par. So you're telling me John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, I mean, they make a move? They're right there?
Absolutely.
What's a move? What's a move?
67?
Right 67? 68?
I think 68.
68?
Anything in the 60s is going to give them a chance, but I think 68 is the target. You go from +1 to -2, and you hope that Lowry wobbles a little bit, and then you expect some of the regression from the guys at 5 under, and you see where it is. I mean, these guys at +1 are not going to be leading going into Sunday, but they could put themselves in position to be within 3 or 4 to where you're absolutely having a realistic discussion on Sunday about here's what I have to do to get my name in the claret jug. So you can't win it all in the third round, but they can absolutely get within an arm's length or a reach to have a chance going into the final.
Ben, did you notice Did you notice how great Jason Day did on the front 9, where everybody, and I'm not just hyping him because I picked him as the mate cut in our four-man parlay. So I was watching his front 9, man. When you had so many people making 6s and 7s and 8s on those par 5s, Jason Day was killing it, man.
You two are just teeing each other up on the J.
No, go ahead, Ben. Go ahead. Did he have the best front 9 of anybody? I'm curious if he had the best front 9 of anybody today. I actually want to look that up.
I did suggest to a few people, and if I hadn't fallen asleep at the wrong time zone, it would have been our bonus bet, Benny's bonus bet this week, that Jason Day will be a top 20 specialist. I do think that he has that in him. He has grown into the Open. In his early days when he was a better golfer, say, the only place he could contend was St Andrews because he could just miss left if he wanted to and he'd be fine. He has grown into an Open golfer. He actually enjoys it now. He practices it in his special bunkers and whatnot at home that he's set up in his compound. So, look, he's playing very well. I don't want to give too much hype right now because I'll jinx him, and he always blames me when I start talking him up. That when he goes bad, that's my fault. So we'll see how we go. But look, we go back to these guys. The ones that are over par, yes, they can do it, but they are the ones that need help. Well, they do need Lowry to not go deeper. Because if they do 68 and Lowry does 68, they're done.
Yeah, real quick on J Day, we have to examine strokes gained fashion because if the Malbon scripting is to be believed, tomorrow he's in a ridiculous beanie and some sort of checkered sweatshirt or sweater. So I'll have to see it when he comes out over by the first tee near the media center, but I do think that's a factor when we're trying to handicap J Day. You
guys, I've been saying it for every major. J Day, lowest ever major round, 61, and he's going to be wearing whatever Malbon stuff he's wearing. And that's going to be the iconic image. 61, lowest round ever in a major, Benny.
In the Tommy Bahama shirt maybe on Sunday.
Yeah. I'd love to see it. I don't know if we're going to see it with that weather forecast that we'll set on Saturday, but maybe Sunday when it clears up. and he can go for broke and see what happens. I mean, people do forget he was runner-up last year. I know that most people forget who the runners-up were because Harman just dominated. But it's still, still a decent effort in a major championship to be runner-up. He feels he's being a bit of a forgotten man. As I said, I'm trying not to talk him up too much because when I do, for some reason, it backfires. Just like when I talked up Adam Scott yesterday, and now what happened to him? Gone. He's out. So we'll see what happens for a few guys. I am happy that under the gun, when you gave me Rose, Scott, and someone else I can't even remember now yesterday,
Alex
I
Noren.
went with Rose.
We said Rose.
Yeah,
right?
We said Rose.
You did. You both said Rose, and you both said. I'll toot both your guys' horns here now. You said Bryson was gone. You said Rory was gone. He needed one hole to do that. You said Hovland was gone.
Thomas.
You said Oberg was gone. I'm not too Thomas yet. You said all those guys were gone, and you guys were so adamant that Justin Thomas was going to be gone. Guys, he was gone even before you said he would be. He was gone after 4 holes.
Chris, what can I say? We're really good at picking who's not going to win
Yes,
the golf
yes,
tournament.
yes.
Correct. We can do that.
A great skill that we have.
We're very good at that.